So inspired by, obviously with the big Steven Bomb week, yeah, I thought about this, and it's kind of interesting because I've kind of thought about, would they get along, would they not? So, yeah, in this segment of what would they think, yeah, as you can see right here, what would Batman think of Pearl? So, yeah, what would Batman think of Pearl? Now, honestly, if they ever met, first sight of meeting between the two, I don't think Pearl would think much of Batman. If anything, she would think he's some crazy human in a flamboyant black costume. She would just ask Steven, why is this human dressed like a flying rodent? I don't understand. Is it an Earth costume? Is it that Halloween thing? I don't know. But I think Batman and Pearl would probably have a lot in common. I thoroughly believe that both Batman and Pearl would have a lot in common and meet on a lot of common ground and a lot of common ideals. First and foremost, I think, like, physicality. Pearl and Batman have very finesse fighting styles, and I think if she ever saw Bruce fighting, actually see him brawl against like a bunch of street gangs or one of his villains, I think she would be thoroughly impressed by how well and how refined his movements and stances are. I think she would be completely in awe of seeing this very, fit and limber, very, just a human doing all these great feats. She would actually ask, I think, are you sure you're human? I don't know. So I think that would be really cool, and also her, Pearl, if they ever sparred, I think Pearl would, throw off Batman, because she uses her fighting style like a dance, and keep in mind, she's a magical alien with superhuman strength, speed, and agility, and stamina, so I think Batman at first would think, okay, she's she's very nimble, she's very skinny, but something tells me I shouldn't take her for, I shouldn't take this lightly. Whereas Pearl would probably, like I said, first glance, if her and Batman ever met, I think she would be like, yeah, he doesn't look like much. He's just another guy. He's just a human in a bat costume. Another thing I think Pearl and Batman would find a lot of common ground on is that they both deal in absolutes. They pretty much both deal in absolutes. As we've seen with Batman, he will do anything to protect Gotham, and even with the Justice League on the Earth on a whole. I mean, there are lines he won't cross, but if the need comes to it, he will die for Gotham. He will die for the Earth, and he will make some pretty risky gambles that probably won't fly by the rest of the League or anyone in the Bat family. It's kind of equivalent. I think if Batman and Pearl ever had a conversation between the two of them, I think they would definitely have that kind of common ground of dealing in absolutes, where Pearl, you clearly see her love for Rose transitions to the Steven, whereas, Batman loves Gotham and will do anything for Gotham. Pearl will do anything for Steven, feeling that she failed, she failed Rose, and, now she feels like she has to be the one to sacrifice herself for Steven, whereas she feels like she failed that. I think Batman would agree on that, because it would be exactly how he feels how he failed his parents. Just like how, Pearl feels like she failed Rose, Batman feels the same way, Bruce feels the same way about, feeling that he failed his parents on that night. If he could have done something differently, if he could have said something, that's always kind of going through his head non-stop. Same way as Pearl, how she thinks non-stop of, if only things could have gone differently. If only things could have, gone, in a different light. Could things have done better? Could I have, changed the whole outcome? So I think Batman and Pearl would have that kind of common ground in that regard. I think they would definitely have that kind of common ground in that kind of sense. I think that's kind of the driving point between the two. Among other things, battle tactics. These two kind of deal in, they're the brains of their operations. With Batman and the Justice League, he's very much the, more or less the strategist of the group, and Pearl as well. So I think he and Pearl would kind of discuss battle tactics, and I think the two would kind of get along in that regard of just like, oh, well, I use this method and this method, and whereas Batman would be like, huh, interesting. Another thing is that they're very much, I think there'd be kind of a differential here. A big difference is that Pearl can be very emotional and she can hide her emotions very well, but there are breaking points. Whereas Batman's learned very well to hide his emotion no matter what, and he buries that within him. And I think Pearl tries to do that too, but it clearly cracks through at most points. Obviously we saw in Rose's Scabbard, and now in Sworn to the Sword, we see, Pearl does have her breaking points, even though she tries to put on that kind of, hard personality and, be a warrior. Garnet has that too, but she hides it better, almost like Batman level Bane, probably because, Ruby and Sapphire, even though Rose is gone, Ruby and Sapphire are still together, so they have each other to cling to. Literally cling to. Among other things, I think these two would... But again, I think these two would get along, especially in their ideals. I think, obviously, Rose not only just wants to protect Stephen, but she wants to protect... she wants to be there for the Earth, as Rose did. And I think, I think Bruce would agree with her on that, of that they would both do anything to protect the Earth. Granted, Pearl still feels like humans are kind of stupid, and you do get the sense that she still thinks she's above, humans on a whole, whereas Garnet and Amethyst, Garnet's very indifferent about humans, whereas Amethyst, because she was born on Earth and had probably the most contact with humans as such, where was I going with this? She probably had the most contact with humans, and therefore, obviously, had the most, probably has the most love for the human race, love for stuff on Earth is what I'm trying to say. Whereas with, as with Pearl, like I said, she still thinks, okay, I gotta protect humans, but that's just for Rose's sake. Humans on a whole, I could take it or leave them. This whole, campaigning for Earth, campaign for Earth, it was all for Rose and nothing but Rose. That's what her whole thing was. Whereas I think Batman would kind of convince her, humans can be fallible. We can be, we can completely fail ourselves on most occasions, but we still kind of strive to be better. That's, as my friend Clark would say, humans are indomitable. So I think that would be kind of an interesting mix between the two, of having Batman and Pearl kind of discuss the human race. Obviously, even though Batman, is human, he still feels like the human race is kind of, they can fall in on themselves any moment. But he still wants, Superman wants to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, whereas Batman looks for the darkness in everybody. And when you think about it, Pearl does too. Remember how she was very much, when Stephen was trying to heal the Centibeetle, and she was constantly the first one to be like, look, we can't trust that thing, this thing's a monster, we can't have it around here, we gotta get rid, we've gotta kill this thing. So, Batman and Stephen have that too, where they kind of look for the darkness as well. So, there are a lot of, when you think about it, Batman and Pearl would probably have a lot of similarities, and these two would probably get along if the Justice League and the Crystal Gems had ever met. I think I think Batman and Pearl would very much get along, despite the fact Pearl, like I said, upon first meeting, would be, would be kind of like, why does this human have the need to dress up like a human bat? I don't get it. And he's not a bat at all. I thought he was half bat. But anyway, I think also it would be cool to see Batman and Pearl spar together. I think that would be a lot of fun to see Batman and Pearl spar, because I think she would first take Batman for granted, but when she sees Batman fight, she's going to be completely taken off guard and be like, oh, he's not like most humans. There's something different about him. Yeah, I would love to see even Batman, train Pearl, I think Pearl would be very interested because she's not a hand-to-hand fighter. She uses weapons, unlike, Garnet and Amethyst to an extent as well, but Garnet's the real brawler as well as the leader, whereas, Amethyst is as well, but she's got her whips, but she's not afraid of using her weapons as well. Pearl's the one who uses weapons, so I think Batman would be like, in the event that you ever run into a situation that you can't summon your weapon, here's how you need to learn how to fight hand-to-hand. So I think it would be cool if Batman showed Pearl some of his hand-to-hand fighting moves. I think that would be really cool. I think that would be awesome to see. So yeah, I think these two would get along pretty well, despite, having a little bit of a rough beginning. So anyway, guys, you guys tell me, what do you think Batman would think of Pearl? Do you think they'd get along? Do you think they wouldn't? Just comment below, let me know. And once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.